Go.
Greetings all, Shane Bruce, Restomod Daisy, and we've got a conclusion video on our Daisy Model 195 Buzz Barton Special project. The gun is now repaired, it's fully assembled, back together, and the topic of today's video is the Nito Kino Repro Restomod scope that we built. There it is, parked on top of the receiver. Let's roll it up here real quick. You can see the attachment system is really simple. Typical Daisy. You've got a little bulge in the top of the receiver that a foot from the scope fits into, and then you run back down to the other end of the receiver, and lo and behold, somebody was crafty enough to use the top stock screw as a mounting point for the mighty telescope sight. Now, I'm going to pivot it up and let you take a look down the bore. What we've done with this is it's steel and it's been fire blued on the exterior, but we went ahead and taped it and masked it so that we could spray flat black paint on the inside to cut down on the amount of light bouncing in from the back of the scope. I think it would benefit by having a cup of some design installed on it, but Daisy didn't do that as a factory option, so we're not pursuing it on this particular rebuild. Alrighty, now here's some basic details on building your very own Buzz Barton Scope Special. What you're going to need to do is pick up some galvanized EMT conduit, and this stuff is available at your local hardware store. It does normally have a zinc coating on it. So start with a piece roughly 7 inches long. That's all you're going to need, because 7 inches here, and we'll take a look at the scope on the gun, and you'll note that counting the front flange and the rear flange, it all works out to about 7 inches. So, 1/2 inch EMT conduit, 7 inches long. Now, like I said, the stuff comes galvanized. So before you start trying to fire blue this or buff it or anything else like that, you probably want to get rid of the zinc coating. There is a cheap and efficient way to do that. Let's go over here to our immersion facility here at Restomod, and you'll see in the special Restomod immersion tank that we have a chunk of said stuff. Conduit, and you'll note if you can.
Take the label off the water bottle then?
I could take the label off the water bottle, but wouldn't that be a packaging violation?
Oh, we're doing.
Oh my! Hey, hang on. We have tools. We have tools. Let's don't cut the bottle though.
Don't cut the bottle, watch.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You cut the bottle and cut your hand out.
I'm gonna cut my hand before I cut the bottle. There we go. All right. Let's see if we can get, there we go. Now you see that fuzzy look to it? This is white vinegar. You can buy white vinegar at any grocery store and most gas stations probably around the country. It's easy to get. What you see there is the reaction of the vinegar, which is like a 5% acetic acid solution, and the zinc. It's eating the zinc away. So what you can do is take your galvanized metal tube, drop it in a water bottle full of vinegar, cap it, leave it. Typically I leave these things in there about overnight, and when they come out of the solution, they'll look kind of like this, and it is stripped of zinc. So now it's easy to handle, safe to handle. You can put it on a wire wheel, and that's what we did here to get a more satiny finish, and then you can fire blue it, and you don't have to worry about inhaling the dangerous and noxious zinc fumes that can kill you. So that's basic prep of the tube itself. Now once you get the tube cut, you'll notice there's a small flange at the back. That's about, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch. Right at a little over 1/4 of an inch that you're going to have to cut off. So that means you got to slice off a bit of the tube, leave a flange of about 1/4 inch, and it's about the same distance up here. But you'll have to fiddle with that if you get around to try and make one of these yourselves. Let's see, right at 1/4 of an inch. Some filing is required, some deburring is required. It's not the end of the world, and it's certainly doable with hand tools. Now, to get the insert, because the insert is a 5/64 hole, and it's about halfway down the tube, but it has to be a tiny hole. If you go with a big hole, you do not get the desired effect that makes this front peep sight look like it's been magnified. It hadn't been magnified, but it looks like it has been. So to get that hole, just take a 5/8 washer, which falls right through. See, it's about the perfect diameter. All right, so you're going to use that as your template. Get a piece of 16 gauge steel, lay that little washer on it, trace the outline. Now you can cut this with snips, you can cut it with a bandsaw, but you need to cut it until you get a disc. Now once you get the disc roughly the same size as the washer, you can put them in a vise and use a hand file to get them to match exactly. So that when you're done, you've got a solid metal plug. No big hole in the middle, it's just one piece of steel. That's the correct size to fit into the tube. Once you get that done, you center it up, mark your spot for where you're going to drill it with your 5/64 drill bit, and you'll wind up with a Daisy Buzz Barton sight. That's the only miracle you need, is that little bitty hole down there about halfway down the tube. And then when you put it up on your shoulder and get ready to shoot it, it looks like a telescope. But it's not actually a telescope. Now, I'm kind of enthusiastic about this little sight tube, and I think I'm going to manufacture a variety of that goes on a 105, because the 105 that we built a while back, let's see if I can find it now. Yeah, because this attempt actually works pretty well. Although, I think after looking at the front sight peep, it doesn't quite mesh up with what was on the original gun. But I think it could be useful in a Grandpa Jim Special, and it would look kind of neat. We'd have to get up here and make a hole so we can get up and put the dimple in the receiver. But that's a doable thing. There's plenty of room under here. Just drill a hole and, you know, put yourself a louver there so you got a spot to insert the tab. Because I'm not really sold on this. It does work, but I'm not really sold on it. Anyway, that's where we're at with the Daisy Buzz Barton model number 195 Special. It's a done gun. It's going to be heading home, and it's been fun to work on. That's all we've got for you today, kids. This is Restomod Daisy signing off.